In this video, we're going to go through a series of incompletions, let's just say, and miscommunications between Dak Prescott and Dez Bryant. You have people in the media who are kind of pissing me the fuck off, excuse my French, but they are, when they discuss Dez Bryant as if his skills have diminished so much overnight that he just can't play and it's abysmal. You know, I watched Jerry Rice, I watched Tim Brown play late into their careers, and T.O. as well. These guys, you know, weren't as dominant as they were in their early career, but with a good quarterback, they still were putting up numbers. And it's not because Dez is he's not a horrible route runner where it's like, okay, his routes are so, you know, nasty that he just really can't get open. He's not that guy. They're talking about him like he's a tight end or something. Dez Bryant, if you watch these plays, he is open on quite a few plays. And even when he's not open, Dez is still open. But I'm not a Dez Bryant fan. I am a non-biased Cowboy fan. It's just the fact that, you know, I give blame and accountability where it's due. And Dak Prescott is accountable for Dez's lack of production. Whether the media, Dak, or the Cowboys organization want to admit it or not, that's another story. But you know, at this point, I feel like the media is being fed a certain narrative and feeding it to us because there's, you know, free agency, and then there's also the request that Dez actually take a pay cut. And because he doesn't want to, I think the media is actually applying pressure to this man's paycheck, which he actually earned. He earned this check. He's not a bum. He's not washed up. Dez Bryant has earned every dollar, and even this season, he's earned it. I saw Dez actually should be getting paid some cornerback money this year because he's actually played defensive back quite a few times. Dak threw 13 interceptions, but he would have thrown 20 or more on a few occasions where Dez actually jumped up and slapped down poorly placed balls by Dak Prescott. You'll see it against the Rams when he throws to the end zone. It should be Dez has inside leverage. If he lobs the ball to the inside, there's no way that Johnson can run through Dez and make a play. But Dak throws the ball where Dez can't make a play, over the outside shoulder where the defender has outside leverage, which makes zero sense. And it's like that's what Dak generally has done through most of these highlights that I've videotaped. You'll look at the leverage of the defender against Denver. Aqib Talib had inside leverage on 4 or 5 different plays. Like clearly standing inside on Dez's inside shoulder, like all the way. And Dak will still throw the ball to the inside. When Aqib is probably looking at it like, what the hell is he doing? Because he's only standing there to take away the slants and the dig routes that Dez may run. And Dez wasn't running slants or dig routes, which is why he was standing with the inside leverage position. So he's not expecting Dak to place balls inside. He's trying to deter him from doing so, and Dak still does it. Makes no sense. Dez is smart enough to know not to run inside, so on those plays, he's running outside routes, breaking routes outside, fly routes, go routes, jump routes, back fades, back shoulder fades, and Dak's just not throwing the ball where it needs to be. He did it on 1 touchdown against Aqib Talib. He has a tough name, I'm sorry. But he did it once against Aqib Talib. But after that, he just kind of lost it. Against the Giants, he threw the ball high to the outside, led him into defenders. He wasn't very accurate at all. And that's not on Dez Bryant. But by week 3, I started hearing this narrative, and I'm like, well, maybe these reporters are just looking at statistics. They can't be watching the games, because I started reading and seeing this narrative that says Dez is amongst one of the highest targeted receivers in the league thus far through week 3 or week 4, and his production is just down. But they put that on Dez. I'm like, well, have you guys watched the film? How much of these opportunities are actual opportunities? And if they're not opportunities and he can't catch the ball, then why are we having this discussion? You know, it would be like me saying you missed a train that never came. You know, it doesn't make much sense. Or if there's a detour on the bus route and you miss the bus isn't coming. It's not there. You can't catch it. There's nothing you can do about it. And that's the way I look at it between Dak and Dez. They don't have the chemistry, and they don't have that trust that you need in order to be an elite level duo, like a Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne, or Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison. They're not that because they're obviously not working enough together one-on-one. And also, I believe that a lot of it has to do with their offensive coordinator as well. They're not making it things confusing enough for defenses and simple enough for Dak. For Dak to know, hey, on this play, when you see this leverage, throw the ball elsewhere, or throw the ball here, or place the ball this way. Like, they need to know when this guy stands here, place the ball in this way, or place the ball in this position or in this spot. And they're not connecting in that way. And I think a lot of that has to do with them not working together enough. Egos are getting in the way, and that needs to change. And I mean, like, ASAP. The fact that at the end of the season, I feel like Dak kind of tried to throw Dez under the bus with the whole "I need to put it right on his face" mask statement, kind of, ticked me off a bit, because that was, one, it's not very leader-like, and two, not saying that a quarterback should always fall on the sword, but in this case, Dak is throwing shitty passes. He has to put that on himself, and he is throwing shitty passes. There's no one that can say anything different. Dak can't say anything different in this particular game, because he says he has to put it on Dez's face mask as if that interception was the game-deciding interception, and it wasn't. Dak overthrew Zeke Elliott by like 5 yards for a pick six, which is why they were trailing in the first place. And he didn't say anything about that. That wasn't a pass to Dez. That was Dak overthrowing a 5-yard pass, by a long shot, because Dak loads up. He's a very strong guy. He loads up on every throw, and he kind of telegraphs his throws so that defenders kind of know when the ball is coming, which makes it a tougher catch, which makes it a tighter defense, and it just doesn't work on the NFL level. Dak has to change his throwing motion. He has to speed up his release. He has to get through his reads quicker. And maybe Kellen Moore, as the new quarterback's coach, may help him with that. But that is definitely something that's on Dak, and that the Cowboy organization needs to address as a whole. Because you'll see in the film, if as you've already seen, Dez is actually open on quite a few of these plays, and he still has elite level athleticism. I challenge anybody to comment under this video and tell me one receiver, other than maybe Jarvis Landry and Antonio Brown maybe, who could catch that ball against Arizona the way Dez did, make 4 or 5 people miss, and then run through another 5-6 people at the goal line for a touchdown. There aren't many receivers that can do that. Now, I'm not saying that Dez has the same skill as Antonio Brown as far as route running or speed. He doesn't. But his strengths are his strengths, and they're real. They're not, diminished. If you put him with a Roethlisberger, a Tom Brady, a Case Keenum this year, and look at Adam Thielen, look what he made him look like. If you put Dez Bryant with a quarterback who just knows how to put some touch on some balls, no pun intended, Dez will show you what he really is. And it'll be idiotic for the Cowboys to let an athlete the likes of Dez Bryant go with the resume that he has, because Dak Prescott and Zeke are supposed to lead the future. Zeke, I love Zeke. Zeke is, he's the man. He's a bell cow. I even like Dak, to be honest with you. I don't think we should get rid of Dak. I think he's the answer at quarterback. I think that we just need to hold him accountable, and he needs to hold himself accountable and mature a little bit and start working with his receivers, not just motivating them, not just sounding like a quarterback, looking like a quarterback, throwing hard to show that you have an arm of a quarterback, but using your mind and your people skills in order to connect with a receiver who obviously is receptive to it, because, he and Romo didn't have a problem, even though he has outbursts and all that. He and Romo didn't have a problem because Romo knows Dez and knows where to place the ball. If you have a Game Pass, go back and watch the Kansas City game where Romo was actually doing the commentary. He's spot on when it comes to what I'm saying about Dak and Dez. He can see it because he knows Dez. He knows where the ball needs to be placed, and he understands why they're not connecting on a lot of these routes. Dez is running good routes, and when I say good routes, I mean he's open enough. In the NFL, you don't have people that are 10 yards open. Not even Antonio Brown is, 15 to 10 yards open on every play. That just doesn't happen. Odell either. They're making circus catches, but the ball is being placed where they have an opportunity to do what they do. And Dez can do it with the best of them. He can high point a ball like nobody's business. He's like an eagle out there. And I really still feel that he could still do that. And I feel like someone needs to speak up, because when I'm looking in the media, I don't see an honest representation of what's going on the field. And to me, that's just not fair to railroad someone and not give both sides of the issue. Even when they show highlights, they only show the 5 or 6 drops that were blatant drops by Dez. They show those. The lapses in communication or the lapses in concentration on Dez's part. They don't show the wild balls that Dak is throwing. They don't show those. And I don't know why, but if you did what I just did, it jumps right off the page to you, because honestly, I started this video or this recording trying to look at and evaluate Dez Bryant, not Dak Prescott. I was looking to see if Dez Bryant really did fall off, because his numbers are low and he's not playing to the best of his ability. So that's really how I set out to prove was that. And as you can see, what jumps out is quite the contrary. So, go through the film, watch these miscommunications, and you'll see, like you're looking at right now, you'll probably see the Aqib Talib matchup. You'll see him and Jack Rabbit when they matched up. You'll see him versus the Packers, Dez versus the Packers. A lot of horrible balls there. A game that just really should stand out to anybody who watches football. And I'm talking about on a Pop Warner level. The 13 balls that were thrown to Dez against the Rams. Dez already caught 5 for 98 yards in that game. And those were the 5 that were semi-catchable balls. He caught those, and he had a good output, good production. But look at the other 8 balls that Dez missed. Just look at the other 8 balls. One of them was almost an interception, but was luckily batted down by Brockers. Another was placed, as I said, outside where Tremaine Johnson could make a play on the ball. And then there's one where Dez has to dive like a superhero, nowhere near him. Throws the ball way out of bounds, nowhere near him. Did that against Seattle as well. He did it against the Raiders, where Sean Smith actually got an interception because of an overthrow. He overthrew Dez quite a few times this season. Against the Eagles, both games against the Eagles, Dak just didn't come to play. He targeted Dez in both those games, I think, a total of 22 times, 24 times, something like that. And Dez caught 3 in the final game of the season. And he caught, I don't even remember, I think 6 in the Week 11 matchup out of that. So that's 9 balls out of 24. And go look and see how many of those balls Dak placed in a position where Dez had an opportunity to make a play on the ball. There's a few where there's pass interferences that aren't called. That's not on Dak or Dez. And there's a few where Dak's leading Dez literally into a stretcher. He does that on numerous occasions. I feel like I'm talking for the guy Cuba Gooding Jr. and Jerry Maguire, where he's talking about the quarterback throws high and across the middle. It's just, he's doing that. High inside, high outside, low inside. It's either low or high, never in where he can catch in stride. And maybe the 69 balls that he actually caught were on the money, which is pretty good, for Dez's career. But the other 50 some odd passes that were uncatchable and untouchable should not count against Dez Bryant. And I'm saying that here today. That's on Jason Garrett, whoever the offensive coordinator is, and on Dak Prescott. And it's on all 3 of them to come together this offseason, figure out something that works for Dez, and not just say, hey, we're a running team now. We need to be a balanced team in order to win. Because when they take Zeke away by loading the box, we need to be able to exploit these zero man coverages, where it's just man-to-man, one-on-one over the top. That I saw that all year. You would never do that against a Tony Romo. I don't care what you say is going on with Dez or Terrence Williams or Beasley or Witten. You could never do that